of you are not like some of. And she began a choir at a place called Imperial. They began a choir. They gave the land to the church. She led the choir for over 50 years. And then after that, my father became the choir master for over 50 years until the day he passed. So at least there was a little space that my grandmother opened for me. And so when I look at my life, I don't see demons following me. But there are some of you, when we look in your life, there are demons following you. But there is a place right here. And there is a presence right here. There is a grace right here that will break every bondage, everything that's following you, and bring you to your place of destiny. Somebody say amen. Somebody say glory. Say somebody, I'm at the right place. Say I am at the right. Father Abraham opened up the space. And I may not be Abraham, but by the grace of God, we are going to open up some spaces for you. Oh, yeah. And then he dreamt a dream, powerful dream. And in that dream, the heavens opened. And there was a ladder right from the place to heaven. A spiritual highway. You simply get in there and heavens open. And then when Jacob looked up, he was able by the Spirit to recognize that that is God. And then God spoke these words. Then God spoke these words. Verse 13, and behold, the Lord stood, your father worshipped me, and therefore I'm talking to you based on the relationship. Are you hearing me? Based on the relationship I had with your father. Your father believed in me. And I want you to know that I'm so pleased to associate myself with your father. And so I'm talking to you based on that relationship. Places in God or spiritual highways are based on relationship that are very intentional with God. They don't just happen. You have to be very intentional opening up those spaces. You have to live with this God, go with this God all the way. That no matter what happens, God is the center. No matter what you go through, no matter what you have, God is the center and God remains the center. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? And so God says, let me introduce myself to you. I don't know you, Jacob. Maybe after we have gone this journey together, and I want you to know as you walk with me, many people will be referring me as God of Jacob, but now I'm not God of Jacob. Or they'll be referring to me as God of Israel. But right now, I'm not God of Israel yet. But we have begun a journey. Me and you. Think about that. Because many years to come, God will now begin to associate himself with Jacob, and eventually he will be known as, are you hearing me? The relationship was just starting. If you are going to open up spaces for you in God and for your children, you must cultivate relationship with God. You have to. You have to. As I said, was it Friday? I said those places or those moments or those fellowships must be created. Time in Canada has to be created or allocated. You look at your busy schedule and allocate time for God. So I have 10 hours in a day, and there's no way I can begin with God at midday. Therefore, early in the morning when I rise, I'm going to dedicate that time for God. And it is very intentional. And you mention it to God so that you can dwell now in the morning, abide now under the shadow of the Almighty, so that you can say to the Lord, you are my shield. You are my strength. And so that you can hear the Lord say, because you have put your love on me, with long life will I satisfy you, and then I will show you my salvation. But it begins by you and me dwelling in that secret. It is a secret place. And Jesus taught us and said that when you pray, close yourself in the closet, someplace, somewhere. And as you talk to God, eventually God will introduce you publicly or reward you publicly. Those places must be very, very intentional, allocated, a time allocated to God. Now you may say, I don't have the time. When life beats you down, you will get time. But why wait for life to burden you down? Until you cannot even say, Lord, help me. You simply cry. And then you begin to look for help. And sometimes you look for help in wrong places. Say, there is a place. There is. There is a place. Say, there is a place. Say, there is a place. And so God now will refer to himself as the God of Jacob. Eventually. But in that place, he didn't say, well, now, no, they had no relationship. No. Jacob didn't know God. That was the first time God speaks to Jacob openly. So Jacob, yeah, I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, your father. It's not too late for us to begin this journey now. Are you hearing me? And then God will go on to speak. He goes on to say, verses 14. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south, and in thee, and in thy seed, shall all the families of the earth. Oh, how I pray that God will begin to relate with you like that. And that's beyond your small little box. That is beyond your village where you live, beyond your little town. Now God is talking about not only Canada, but he's talking about Africa as well. He's talking about Europe as well, where you are influenced now. Listen what I'm going to say. As much as I love the idea of McDonald's, for example, building franchises around the world. A few years ago, I was in Nairobi and they had McDonald's. Right now, we have KFC. And my heart simply says to me that McDonald's, if there's a man, Burger King, called Burger King, doesn't know God, there has to be a people that know God, that build franchise around the world. Pastor Idi, okitegedde? Okitegedde, Pastor Idi? Kwata omuzindalo okiddemu nga bwe nkyogedde. Ngambye ki? Moses naye olusi kiraasa agibeera mu luvannyuma.
As much as you appreciate McDonald's, if the person behind McDonald's doesn't know God, there has to be men and women who know God, who can put even better franchises than McDonald's.
that now, listen what I'm going to say, that now your name become a household name in London. Kozi gwe bakuyita ani? The Eddie Mayanja franchise, or Eddie Mayanja clothing industry, or Eddie Mayanja estate. And that estate is in Edinburgh, London, England. French Riviera